Hello and welcome to our guide to office vocabulary, phrases and idioms that you can use around the water cooler. Whether you're a fresh intern or a seasoned executive, climb the corporate ladder with these useful English terms. On the agenda today, we have a guided tour of the important spaces in an office, followed by a walkthrough of the essential people and items you are likely to encounter, before finishing with a look at the language of hierarchy and power within companies and corporations. If you work in an office and you find this video useful, be sure to like, subscribe, and of course practice these new English words and phrases in the comment section below. So with that being said, let's get down to business. Now, when talking about the office, where better to start than the common and often disliked cubicle. A cubicle is a small, partly enclosed workspace within an office that's separated from similar spaces by walls or partitions. They offer a private working space for employees, and they can give you a little bit of privacy. We can use in or at as a preposition with cubicle, depending on the context. We use in when we are emphasizing that we are inside the physical space of a cubicle. For example, Maria spends her lunch break reading in her cubicle. However, if we are referring to the cubicle as a place where somebody works or they are currently working, we use at. Benny is at his cubicle writing his report. Now that we've taken a quick peek at the cubicle, let's look at some of the items that make it a functional workspace. We'll start with an item that is found in offices worldwide. Of course, we're talking about a file. A file is a collection of documents or papers that are on a particular topic. We put physical files into a filing cabinet. This is a physical storage space where we can keep files. Deborah put the important files into the filing cabinet. A cubicle will hold lots of vocabulary items that I'm sure you're already aware of, like desk, chair, computer, monitor. But here are some other common items we might find in a cubicle that you might not know. First of all, we have a stapler, which we use to clip two or more pieces of paper together. Maybe you have a calendar on your desk where you can keep track of dates, events and important tasks that you need to do. If a calendar doesn't work for you, you might want to try using sticky notes. These small sticky pieces of paper can be used for reminders, messaging or labeling. Paper clips hold pieces of paper together. A swivel chair is a chair that can turn around on its base. Or maybe you use a rubber stamp. This is a handheld tool that we can use to imprint the same message again and again and again. But I'm interested, what do you keep in your cubicle? Let us know in the comments. Wow, learning all this new vocabulary is tough, isn't it? Why don't we take a break, leave the cubicle and go on a quick tour of the office space? And what better place to start than at the water cooler? The water cooler, of course, is the machine that dispenses water for you to drink. In American culture and movies and TV shows, this is the place where colleagues famously take a break and have a quick chat about work or life. Just to let you know, although British people would recognize this phrase, it is not something we would typically use ourselves. This is a North American phrase. In the UK, we'd be more likely to take a tea break. A tea break is a short period of time where we go to the break room or kitchen area and we relax, have a cup of tea and chat. We can say we are going to take a tea break or we are going to have a tea break. When you hear either of these phrases, you know it is time to put on the kettle, relax and take a well-deserved break of 10 to 15 minutes or more. Let's continue our tour and move from the relaxed space of the break room to the heart of corporate power, the boardroom. The boardroom is a formal room where the board of directors meet to discuss and make important decisions. This is the heart of strategic decision making and the place where the real power lies. So now we've got a good idea of some of the spaces within an office. let's take a look at the people who work there. Now, the most basic term for somebody who works in an office is, unsurprisingly, office worker. They typically work with computers, possibly in a cubicle. They often wear smart, formal clothes, and they do some sort of administrative work. Jin has been an office worker all his life. Most offices also have a secretary. This is an office worker who helps with daily tasks, such as answering phones, responding to emails, typing up documents, and arranging meetings. For example, her secretary has arranged a meeting for us this week. There are two common ways of pronouncing secretary. You can say the 4-syllable version, secretary, or you can use the 3-syllable version, secretary. Use whichever one is most comfortable for you. Moving up the corporate ladder, we might encounter a manager. Managers are responsible for overseeing the work of office workers and often have their own offices or workspaces. An informal term for manager is boss. Boss can refer to anyone in a position of authority. A boss can be the direct supervisor of just one person or the CEO of a multinational corporation. So speaking of bosses, let's go to the top floor and meet the bigwigs. The bigwigs are the people with the fanciest chairs, the nicest offices, and the shiniest nameplates. They are often found on the top floor, and these are the people with the most money, power, and influence. Now, bigwig is an informal, idiomatic term, and it is not necessarily too positive. It's a little bit mocking and making a little bit of fun of the bosses. So maybe keep it amongst your colleagues and don't use it directly to your boss's face. Workers have a number of similarly slightly humorous phrases for the people at the top. This includes big cheese, head honcho, top dog. All three of these can be used with the definite article the or with the indefinite article a. So we can say he's the top dog at his company, or we can say Paolo is a top dog in the world of fashion. Sometimes when we don't know exactly who the people at the top are, we can refer to them as the powers that be. Now, these are all idiomatic, informal terms for the people near the top, but a more formal term might be an executive. This is someone at senior level of management that usually has a lot of power, but might not necessarily be a boss or manager. The shortened form of this is an exec. This is an informal term often used in business circles and can be used singularly, exec, or collectively, execs. Moving up the hierarchy of a company from the bottom to the top is called climbing the corporate ladder. The corporate ladder is the path of moving up within a company to better and better positions. It is a metaphor, and you can think of each promotion as climbing another rung of the corporate ladder. With each step, you are moving one step further from the bottom and one step closer to the top. For example, Hugo's hard work helped to quickly move up the corporate ladder. In most offices I've worked in, I've found that there will always be someone who tries to move up the corporate ladder by sucking up. To suck up means to flatter somebody or to say something nice in order to get some personal gain. Johnny only got promoted because he sucks up to the bigwigs. So this is suck up as a phrasal verb, but we can also use it as a noun. So this is someone who is always saying, "Good idea, boss," and who is particularly nice to people above them in the power structure. This is a negative term to show that someone is not being nice because they are nice, but they are being falsely nice in order to get some gain themselves. Okay, we're coming to the end of the video, so hopefully you have all the tools you need to talk shop like a pro. To talk shop is to discuss work-related issues, typically outside of work. Here's an example sentence for you. We ended up talking shop instead of enjoying our meal. And there you have it, a comprehensive guide to the office landscape. From the humble cubicle to the dizzying heights of the boardroom, we've covered all the office basics that you need to climb the corporate ladder. You can find all of today's vocabulary scrolling down the side here, so be sure to study, practice and learn these new words. And of course, the best place to practice these new words is in the comment section below. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all of our latest English lessons. In the meantime, you can find more of our vocabulary videos on dining out here or on travel here. Of course, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram, or find lots and lots more fantastic English content at bbclearningenglish.com. See you next time. Bye.